Welcome to another REC Wednesday video. My name is Jason Johnson, Amateur Radio Operator Kilo 3, Juliet Sierra Juliet. On behalf of Mark and myself, I'd like to welcome you to the Superstation Release 0.1.7.5 video. We made several bug fixes in this release. The first is the roll count. With Superstation, use the roll broadcast dynamic to upgrade your station. You get 3 rolls per day, and at midnight your local time, the roll count resets from 0 to 3. In the previous release, the roll count internally would reset the program, but the GUI would not reset it from 0 to 3. That's been fixed in this release. Maximum distance is a multiplier. That's the maximum distance in kilometers across all your QSOs during the contest period. This should only be set for human-to-human contacts that are at least 10 minutes in length. In the previous version, it was showing in the GUI for human-to-human or human-to-machine contact. If you reset Superstation, it would properly rescore that and only show the human-to-human maximum distance. So that's been fixed in this version. Whenever you make a QSO of at least 10 minutes, if it's not human-to-human, the max distance will not update. One of the operators reported an issue being able to generate the Cabrillo file at the end of a contest period that we ran in November. And he had a lower resolution monitor. And the size of the dialog box was taller than his monitor resolution. So that's been fixed. We've added scroll bars on dialog box for the Cabrillo log generation. So if you do have a lower resolution monitor and you generate the log, use the scroll bars to move down and you'll find the button for generate.cbr file. Superstation, you set the start date and end date for when you want to count contacts. In the previous release, we were using midnight UTC for when to end the end date, and that was incorrect. We should have been using 2359. So in this release we've fixed that. So let's talk about the enhancements we've made to this release of Superstation. The first is we've improved the human-to-human scoring algorithm. That was done during November for our contest period, and we released an updated DLL that folks could patch their version of Superstation. That change has been incorporated into the program, so the new DLL is in the zip file that you'll be installing. Let's briefly talk about the contact mechanic and how the scoring works. So you make contacts in Superstation by having communication with another operator. And there's a couple rules. They have to be at least 10 minutes of a QSO. You have to be talking with another human operator, so you cannot be having a QSO with an unattended station. You must log the grid square of the participant in order for that QSO to be considered maximum distance. And you have to log the contact right after you've made it, and you cannot correct the grid square after the QSO is logged. So going into a little bit more detail about the scoring algorithm, both participants must be humans on the QSO. Each participant must send at least 4 lines of text. And there are some lines that don't count towards a QSO count. Those would be signal reports. Signal reports are generated automatically by the v0.1.7.5 application and therefore don't count as human-to-human type text. Tags in v0.1.7.5 are a great way to send information or request information from your QSO partner. But that being said, certain tags can be used to request information from unattended stations. So the info tag is where you can request a distant partner provide information about themselves. Well, the response comes back not from the human, but from the v0.1.7.5 application itself. So therefore, we don't count that. So we don't count the line that you send, and we don't count the response. Also, the local R tag does not count. That's one where you can elicit the grid square of your QSO partner. Vmails don't count towards a QSO count. And then finally, AI chat, they do not count towards the 4-line minimum. And that's because you're not communicating with a person, you're communicating with an AI agent. So we don't count those as lines on your part by sending or lines that the distant station is responding. Now, we're not saying you can't use tags during the QSO or you can't send your vmail. Those will count towards a 10-minute time, but just realize that you have to have at least 4 lines of text with the QSO partner for the QSO to count as human to human. One operator reported accidentally restarting their station. So we've added a safety feature that if you select game, restart game, you're presented with a dialog box to confirm the QSO reset. If you did this in error and you don't want to reset, just click the no cancel button. But if you really meant to reset it, click yes, reset, and the game will restart. And recall when you restart the game, it wipes out your Superstation score. So the Superstation totals will reset to 0. App Launcher. The App Launcher allows you to launch Superstation or other applications by VAR-AC. And we had a slight bug in the previous version where you had to use a batch file as a workaround. Now we fixed that, so you can enable the application launcher, select the location of the Superstation executable itself, and provided that you enable the app launcher by clicking the checkbox, Superstation will launch when you launch VAR-AC. I recommend you skip launching Superstation if it's already active. And if you want to close Superstation when you close VAR-AC, make sure the close on exit checkbox is selected. All right, the final enhancement we've made is we've added color themes to Superstation. And let's go ahead and take a look at the different themes that you are able to choose in this revision. So thank you for tuning in to another VAR-AC Wednesday video. This has been Jason, K3GSJ, and Mark and I trust that you all are doing well. And until we see you again next time, 73.